Welcome to Think Yoga. It's Friday. This is the summertime, and the summertime means I'm going to try to record outside as much as possible. And there's even little branches that I was like trying to clean them off, and I'm like, why am I cleaning this off? This is nature. This is redwood trees. Who gets to have redwood trees like just in their space, right? I mean, we should just embrace it. So this month, it's all about uncommon movements. Uncommon movements are cross body, side body, just kind of like doing weird things. And I'm doing a series every day on Instagram and my YouTube. Yeah, so I'm trying to do that. And if you have ideas, everything is welcome. All right, so today we're gonna need as many props as possible, as usual. And we're also gonna use the chair. So we're gonna do legs up the chair. So blankets, yoga straps, and also any kind of sweaters are appreciated if you're sitting outside like I am. Okay, so today's topic is going to be my breast cancer story. I know. I probably no one knows about this because I didn't tell very many people. Did you know about this?
I did not.
Yeah, I didn't really tell very many people because I wasn't sure if I was going to die or not. And I wanted to like kind of know if I was going to die before I told anyone. Okay, so I'm just going to read this. I was diagnosed with a pre-cancerous tumor called DCIS in March 2021. This sent me into a total panic and a flurry of research. I read 10 plus books on health and countless papers on PubMed. I wanted to know everything about the mechanisms of the disease. What I learned about my type of breast cancer is that it's very similar to diabetes. The cells feed on glucose and various toxic versions of estrogen. The toxic versions of estrogen can come from environmental factors such as car exhaust, chemicals in cleaning products and beauty products, and they can also get created in fat cells. This is important. So reducing body fat will reduce the amount of toxic estrogen. This is a very simple mechanism, and I started working on it immediately. I used fasting to cut my body fat over 6 months, and I lost 30 pounds. And I continue to eat in a 12-hour window to maintain my weight. Other aspects of moving cancer cells are that cancer cells are basically growing all the time, and we have cleanup processes that are killing them and throwing away constantly. So one of the processes is called autophagy. And this occurs when we exercise and fast. So there's two mechanisms to make autophagy work. So when you combine both exercising and fasting, you really get a lot of autophagy, which goes through the body and cleans out cells, and not just cancer, but aging and all kinds of things that are breaking all the time, sun damage. I used to fast all day Sunday to really help kick off the autophagy. All right, so what happened? I went to the standard medical treatment people who told me that I had this disease, and they told me that surgery, radiation, and a toxic hormone therapy called tamoxifen was the standard of treatment. I researched all these standards of treatment very carefully to understand what was going on. Because my precancer tumor was scattered calcifications instead of a dense tumor, like a circle of tumor cells, it did not make any sense to me to cut it out because it's a sprinkling of these little calcifications. So I was going into PubMed and I took the data and I put it in my own spreadsheet, and I was actually doing data analysis on all the medical research that talks about this DCIS and how it turns into cancer. Well, guess what? There's no evidence that DCIS ever turns into cancer. There's no evidence of it. So they just have this like overreaction that's like, oh, this is a weird cell, we should get rid of it. There's no evidence that this turns into anything. So it didn't make any sense to me as I continued to do my research. The standard of care is just a cover my asterisk, asterisk type of treatment by the medical profession. Radiation would have eliminated the option of a second round of radiation if one day I really did get breast cancer, because the tissue is too damaged by the radiation. It can't have two treatments. So I'd rather wait to see if I ever do get breast cancer to be able to use that radiation if I need to in the future. I got all my estrogen tested and my hormones, and they were absolutely perfect. So going on tamoxifen, which would put me into early menopause, didn't make any sense at all to me. I did my research. I got completely informed on my situation. And then I did all the tests I could. I did genetic testing. I reviewed my entire family history looking for markers or history of cancer. I have no genetic markers for cancer. There's no history of cancer in my family whatsoever. I took responsibility for my own health and decided to do active surveillance, which means I basically get a mammogram every year or 6 months depending, and just see if the tumor, the calcifications, which are as big as a pencil eraser, if they change. All right, so I researched very hard and I found an oncologist at UCSF, and he sent my biopsy to an actual specialized lab that does a special test. I keep using the word special, very special. A test on my cells from my biopsy. I had to get a biopsy where they smashed my breast and stuck a needle in. It was one of the most terrifying experiences of my whole life. It was so terrible. And they were really great. Everyone tried to do, they were all trying to help me as much as they could. So he did this test on basically a genetic, or not even a genetic test, like a special kind of test on my cells, and said the probability came back as a very low chance of these specific cells turning into cancer. So he said he feels comfortable with me doing active surveillance, and just an hour and a half ago, I got off the phone with him, and he told me that he still feels very comfortable with active surveillance because there was literally no change in the tissue. There's nothing that grew. It didn't get worse, whatever that means. So I'm good for another year. So what does that mean? Am I out of the park, or whatever the analogy? I don't think so, but the truth is, who is ever out of anything, right? We're always having a series of probabilities that we can make better by better life choices every moment of the day. I am extremely thankful that I've gone through this experience, because it's made me more empathetic for people who've been through serious damage, like serious diseases for one thing. And I have changed my life. I now have my own entrepreneurship. I'm doing yoga every day. I'm living literally the best life I've ever lived. And I'm thankful because I did this because of this wake-up call. So I'm going to remind you guys, or not remind, I'm going to read off a few lessons that I have had, takeaways, that I really think everyone needs to take to heart. It's just, if I could just go around and like shake people and say, these are the things. Okay, number one, each of us is responsible for our own health. You cannot delegate it to some doctor. They are so busy and they don't have time to think deeply about our specific situation. Absolutely number one. And there's so much research about this, that women who take their responsibility and believe that their health is their own responsibility, they actually survive. Whereas women who are just like, I don't know, I'm just going to follow the doctor's orders, they don't make it. I mean, it's just like very clear. When you take the onus on yourself, you live. Number two, do your own research. Understand the mechanisms. Every single kind of cancer, diabetes, whatever is going on, strokes, heart disease, these are all special and unique to you and your own individual cells, your background, your genetics, whatever. Everyone is a special snowflake. And so you have to do your own research. There's these terms like cancer. The truth is, every cancer is so different. So do your own research. Look at the data. Pull into a spreadsheet. Get a data analysis person, one of your friends, to help you. You have to do your research. You have to understand the underlying mechanisms of what's going on. Go onto PubMed. All these research papers are now available to us. Get experts on your team. Ask them hard questions about the data, and don't let them bully you because they're wearing some special lab coat. Number 3, stand up for your rights, for your own body and your own health. I found the first doctors who worked with me were very bossy, and they tried to scare me. They really did. And I fell for it first, but I kept doing my research and I said no. Number 4, take action on what you learned. So let's say you learn something and then you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna keep eating the donuts and the chocolate cake and using products that are toxic. Like, no, you have to change. You have to change your behavior. It's really, really important to take action on what you learn. It was really hard for me to change a lot of my behaviors, and I'm very thankful I did. So get support. I had a lot of people who were very supportive, family, friends, and I made sure I connected with them regularly and was vulnerable with them. I shared with them what I was learning. It wasn't like I finished it all and then I was like, okay, here's the whole thing. It was like continual, like, oh, I just read this paper this morning. I just finished this book this morning. This is what I thought. This is what I learned. And in the same vein of getting support, avoid all toxic people, especially people who are pitying you. Anyone who's pitying you, you need to avoid them completely. It's absolutely the wrong energy to be around. Have smart friends who ask hard questions about data. Do not be around anyone who's pitying you. All right, so I hope by sharing my story, it will encourage you all to live better, enjoy every moment, because nothing is for granted. Nothing, you never know. A plane could come and crash on me right now. That's just how life is. Enjoy the moment, live in the present, and fight back. Fight back against any bossy doctors because they do not have your best interests at heart. All right. Any response?
Wow, that was an incredible story and great lesson.